Hello everybody, welcome back to FTL Mod Season 3. Still playing with the Lanius Destroyers by Federation Scum, who once again join me. Say hello.
Hey everybody.
Alright, Type A of the Rock, the Swordmaster. Thing looks awesome as
Yes.
heck, I gotta say.
Yeah,
Alright.
Swordsmaster is the origin, the idea that behind this ship is actually way back when I was doing the bombers, particularly the Asphyxia. As you probably could have guessed from the fire beam and its original conception, it was originally supposed to be like a rock Lanius combination. But then I quickly realized that with the weapon I had, people would immediately toss the Lanius out the door. When they get a second rock crew member, they would just go straight for a rock only boarding crew strategy, since that's a more reliable thing. So I eventually revisited it, and I eventually I gave it an artillery that I thought was a good rock-esque weapon, but it also figured that why not give it chaos bomb qualities so that it can cause breaches and fires, thus opening strategies for both to be used at the same time, which was and of course since it can cause hull damage, you can use it as a defensive weapon as well. So it's basically like a jack of all trades kind of weapon.
Yeah, that's the beauty about the Chaos trademark weaponry. Breaches and fires means you can do a lot of stuff with them. The Hull P
Yeah.
Laser 2, is that a custom weapon?
In its effects, yes, it's actually it's essentially a modified Hall laser Mark II that can pierce one shield, and actually that's really about it. Really, it has the same power, same shots. It can just pierce one shield laser, and that's enough to justify a extra power requirement.
Definitely.
But it's uh it's a decent weapon. I mean, it's got a really great cooldown for weapon of its magnitude, considering it can do 6 damage at most at any one volley if you have the shields down, or I don't know, if you have the shields down to one layer. And it's very useful for battles of attrition where you're trying to outlast your opponent because you can do more damage with fewer shots. But it can be deactivated very easily if they hit the weapons. But in comparison to the Reaper, getting hit in the weapons is not necessarily the biggest deal because your artillery is for missiles and that can cause fires and breaches, and that is obviously great. And fortunately, the rock assault chassis that's partially used in this ship already has like a missile tube opening at the top of its
Yeah.
chassis, so that made it easy, or that made it convenient, I should say.
Yeah. Um, had some issues lighting it up though, but apparently that is all figured out now.
Yeah, it was mainly because Captain's Edition. Originally, the weapon, along with Reaper's shrapnel artillery, both of them use the Federation artillery image. And because the original game doesn't use it, it was invisible. But since Captain's Edition does, it does appear. So I had to basically just erase the image and rename it to something else so that it would use a image that was practically emptiness. And so now it's invisible, which is for all good and proper, because otherwise it would look quite silly and it would kind of mess everything up.
Yep, but now we got it working, which is great. Um, the name fits kind of well actually, because it does look like a. If you look at its side, it's like a dude with a cloak hiding some swords behind it.
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind. Originally, it was actually a bit bigger at the bottom. It had these two pieces that were sticking out further back, but then I figured that was just a bit too much. It looked too big. And when I took them away, it gave it a very nice half circle indenture in the back to give it a very nice, graceful appearance. Like it's flowing, essentially. I also wanted it to look heavier, more heavily rock-inspired than the Adder was Mantis-inspired. Like the Mantis, most of its modifications are at the front of the ship. This one has more modifications at the back, which is why you don't have those inner wings that the other ones do.
Yeah. Following the Shivan, you have no airlocks.
Yep. Pretty much, considering how powerful the ship is. I mean, you got unlimited missiles essentially, and you've got a really powerful weapon in the hull laser. You're actually sitting quite pretty when it comes to offenses. But since this is a rock ship, and you have two races that deal with fire rather well, I figure it would be a nice balancing thing to go along
Hmm.
to, you know,
It
prevent
is
you from being able to airlock.
surprising how much problems having no airlocks can become, though. Then again,
It
that's
can
usually
be problematic, but there's actually one thing you can do. When you have vented a room with your Lanius, turn off the oxygen.
mhm. That'll keep some
So,
breaches around.
basically, the main benefit to that is that the vent will stay, just
Hmm.
like a breach, as you said. So you can act. That's That's basically the best way you can vent your ship, and that's one thing that you won't get on the Shivan, because the Lanius are essentially your venting system, essentially.
Don't let them know we were using them for that.
Actually, for the lore of the ship, some people I kind of like following on the whole idea that there's more to the Lanius than them being scavengers. So I basically made it so that some of them were seeking solace in religious affairs. Like some of them wanted to, maybe seek God, maybe discover the secrets of the universe, maybe discover spirituality. So essentially, oh yeah, one thing I should mention: you do have a med bay this
Hmm.
time. Don't let them die,
Yeah, I
or they will
already
be gone
sent
for
them
good.
there. I had a med bay. My people were in there to heal, and then they got shot. And then goes
Let's
that.
see. Let's see. What was I saying? So essentially, the story behind this ship is that the Rock Man, that is the pilot of this ship, is at the center, meaning somebody who does not agree with the principles of the primary religion.
Hmm.
You know, kind of like some Protestants in colonial times in America were dissenters who traveled because they were being prosecuted in England. And so essentially, he didn't believe in the xenophobic ways of his race, and he changed that. Or he didn't change that. He went off to go find his own path, his own religion,
Hmm.
or spread his teachings to others. And these two Lanius came upon. Kind of hard to describe how exactly they would come upon each other, but I'm sure the Lanius were just kind of screwing around, flying around space, and they encountered each other. And they, instead of opening hostilities, one of them decided to, just talk. And they had a mutual benefactor between each other. Maybe I mean, the rock priest is a preacher, so obviously he could teach them things that they would find very interesting in spiritual matters. And they also, since Lanius rock relations are virtually unheard of, it was probably the perfect opportunity for the rock to prove his ideas. So they came together. They took pieces from their ships and created the Swordsmaster. And being in the Lanius, the craftiness of the two races, they knew that they would need protection against oppressors, so they made the celestial missile system as a form of their union, and as a weapon delivery system. And it's a very intelligent system that you would actually get to see the non-gameplay benefits of if you actually encounter the respective event.
Oh.
But essentially, this is made from the Rock Priest's old ship, which is partially a Rock Assault B, and it has destroyer pieces. Like, I don't know if the Lanius had a full-on destroyer, or if they just happened to have some pieces melted to their ship or whatnot. I kind of figured they were probably driving some cargo ship that just happened to have pieces of a destroyer, maybe. So they took those pieces, put them together, gave it a nice paint job, gave it a bunch of glowy lights to look intimidating, and this became their temple in space.
Yeah, it's always nice when you can have a decent backstory to your creations. It makes them feel a bit more real and sort of.
Alive.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm sure that many people, after playing the other Deoxy and Ada, were like, "Can we please just blow things up?" So there you go. This gives you what you want. This is all about blowing shit up initially, and it doesn't come with a teleporter off the bat, which might seem strange considering that when you have a weapon that can cause breaches and fires, people go like, "Well, why can't we take advantage of them right away?" And then it's like, you know what? forget it. Just blow shit up. And if you want to go that way, fair game. But it's been done before. You already know how that's going to turn out. So I'll give you some different options. So there you go. The Swordsmaster can be a Alpha Strike powerhouse if you wanted it to.
Yeah, I mean,
It's right now. Its cooldown is like 32 seconds, so fully upgraded, it will be firing 4 missiles every 16 seconds.
the basis, yeah, if the basis, yeah, okay. I'm having a bit of a rough time with this one, though.
Yeah.
It's the third time he took out my weapons.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit on this ship, unfortunately. But, like a case with any ship, once it gets going, it can be overpowered as hell.
Well, the artillery will probably take him out. Cool.
Now, some people might be wondering, like, why exactly the ship's layout looks the way it does. Originally, those two rooms, the room that has oxygen and the empty room straight across from it that connect to the empty room and the mid bay respectively, those are actually beneath the shield room and the weapons room. And basically, they were completely separated, meaning that if you wanted to go to the mid bay, you'd have to travel through the artillery room. Well, I quickly realized when I was in the flagship battle, if they hack your artillery, you're going to have a miserable time. A really miserable time. Because if you have boarding efforts going on, he's going to delay your boarding, he's going to delay your healing, he's going to keep your artillery from doing anything useful, especially if they have cloaking, which the flagship does. I mean, for the most part, it would work fine, but I figured, you know what, let's just, make it less painful.
This is the first Borders and ASB.
Genius. So if they wanted to capture the ship, well, good luck with that. What if it gets blown up? Like, I can just imagine they finally kill you, and then they race to the pilot's room. He's like, wait, turn it, don't fight. And it gets hit with it. The shot hits the pilot's room and kills him, and then the ship blows to pieces.
This makes no sense whatsoever. I never had that happen before. Alright.
So many noises, oh my god.
Well, it's a lot better for me. Well, we can get out of here at least. That's the first time I ever had that happen.
That's interesting to say the least. Are you in a pirate sector or?
Yeah, probably. But I'm not even at the... Nope, civilian sector. This is still sector 1. Might not even make it out. Still got 4 hull left, I think.
Yeah, probably. Don't get too cocky though. Sometimes those AVS will catch you off guard. That's what happened to me. I was sitting there just waiting to the last possible second. I heard a swoosh and he had already hit me. I couldn't see it. It was underneath the ship hull.
No. Alright. We can get this thing going again.
I often wonder if those wings have any real function, considering the fact that the main ship body is like half the size of the ship.
Well, could be the engines.
Yeah, well then again, these things are never especially fast. I mean, the auto ships are faster than these guys. Then again, the auto ships only have so many rooms on them.
Okay. We live. Surprisingly. Yeah, sure. Let's hope that we can at least get out of this sector. Trade goods. I have trade goods.
Let's go to trade goods.
We are trade goods. Nothing interesting to buy though.
They never do. They always give you like a shitty selection of weapons and some shitty drones and some systems you can't even use. Here, have a mind control system for a ship that doesn't have sensors.
Yeah.
It's quite a steal.
It is. Or at least that's what they want us to believe. Lanius invasion. Yeah, sure.
Oh, Lanius invasion, huh? Actually, I do have plans for a new Lanius sector type, which is essentially a sector under siege by Lanius fleets, where you would actually get to encounter not only Lanius destroyer in combat, but other variants.
Oh, man. I'm pretty sure the enemy is probably capable of finding the weakness in your ship and exploiting it to their heart's demise. This isn't normal that I get hit on weapons so goddamn often.
It does happen quite often on this ship, I won't deny that. It's very uncanny. On the better chance, though, they usually don't bother with artillery, which is odd to say the least.
So this is an Lanius ship that actually has a ghost crew member on board.
Well, now they're easy pickings.
2 hull left. Well, at least we're close to another store. Oh no, they got their missile launcher back online. Oh man. Gotta go. Yeah, we can actually see if it misses or not. Come on, come on, come on. It hits.
Is it already over?
No, I jumped away. And then there's the burst laser Mark II that I can't get. Why do you do this?
Not that you would need it, because you technically do have a burst laser. It just gets deactivated easily until you upgrade your weapon system.
Yeah, but it's like the holy grail of weapons, isn't it?
Yeah, as for its accessibility, its utility, its so we're looking for its the word just slips my mind. There's a word that describes something that is efficient. Maybe. I don't remember what it is. I'm sure it'll come back to me eventually. But
there go the
everybody
weapons
knows.
again. Alright.
An artillery laser.
They really don't want me to win this run.
They don't. They are getting very smart. They took out your shield so the artillery laser could pierce. Take out the engines so you couldn't dodge the next one. That goes to your weapons. That is just way too conniving. That's a player strategy right there.
Mm-hmm. Hey, my rock plating finally stopped something. Good on ya.
Oh, really? Just now it finally does it after what, like 100 shots or so?
Yeah, something like that.
What does rock plating allow you to do in Cabs Edition again?
Piracy. It's just basic piracy.
Well, so in other words, this game implies that the Mantis, the rocks, and the slugs are all pirates.
Yeah. And the Zoltan are diplomats.
If things went a little further, one could even apply that the Lanius could be pirates too. Although, if I were to create an augment that was specific to the Lanius, Lanius, so they could so that you could either pirate certain vessels or you could trade with them. Trade off your excess goods.
Hmm.
Like you could trade your missiles or your drones or your fuel or stuff, and that would be specific to them as a benefit. Because let's just face it, the requisition license is kind of crap, honestly.
Well, it does mean you have a lot less empty beacons overall.
Oh, maybe. But sometimes they don't give you anything, or sometimes they even set a trap for you. And they're like, they just blow libraries before jumping away,
Hmm.
because apparently they don't appreciate helping the savior of the galaxy.
But I mean, basically, you're just coming around and say, "Give me stuff for free now." So yeah, I mean, I can imagine they're not too happy with the whole ordeal.
Surely this is a mistake. I mean, you're not even a Federation ship. Why would I give away stuff to a fucking Lanius ship? Because I'll fucking destroy you if you don't. Okay
Oh,
then.
all right. Here's some stuff. Forget I asked.
At least this way you can feel better about it. You've lost to bureaucracy rather than piracy.
Yeah, that's gonna be it.
Now that I remember that Lanius ship that you just encountered at the store,
Yeah.
there actually is a black and red variant of the Lanius destroyer, but I never really got around to using it. The shading on it is very weird. Like for some reason, it has a very inverted shading. So like it's very light in places that would normally be dark, and very dark in places that would normally be bright. So
Mm.
it looks kind of odd. I mean, I could redo it a bit and release it, but at this point, there's already 4 destroyers, and I can't think of I can't really think of why I would release yet another destroyer. I mean, if I were to release a new ship, it would probably have to be a different model because I mean, you've got 4 destroyers to play with. It's not like you're missing out.
Yeah, but truth be told, they really don't look anything like one another. Especially looking at the Adder and the Swordmaster.
Yeah, it's mainly because the Adder and the Swordsmaster take very different cues in design. Like, basically, they follow up with the tradition of the Annalisk from the Lanius frigates. The Annalisk was when I was like, oh, this looks really cool. I like how this came out because the Annalisk is essentially just a Lanius drone frigate with a different hull plating to resemble a crystal ship. And essentially, but it wasn't as drastic as what I ended up doing with Adder and Swordsmaster. Like, these two were like drastically changed to as part of their union with the other races' design cues, to the point that Swordsmaster almost looks entirely different.
Dude, that one almost got away. What the hell?
Yeah, those Lanius are very cowardly.
Yeah, but just a really short timer. And somehow that ended up delaying the fleet. What? How does blowing up a Lanius ship delay the fleet? Whatever.
They had a built-in method or something. Some kind of built-in transmitter.
Yeah, probably.
Somehow works on Rebel channels, which, I don't know, maybe the Lanius are in cahoots after all.
Well, it seems like upgrading the artillery is kind of a good thing to do on this one.
Yeah, if you really want to a short way of destroying your enemies when all else fails, then you could always just opt for the using missiles. I mean, you got unlimited missiles. You could just sit back and drink some coffee or something, and watch it destroy the ship over time.
In that way, it's like the Vindicator beam, where it automatically prevents any form of stalemate.
Yeah,
Because
pretty
no
much.
drone is going to stop 4 missiles.
No, I mean they might. I mean it depends, I suppose. I mean if it's a very defensive ship, like it has a defense drone or two and a super shield drone, and they have good dodge chance, then it might be a lot less effective. So I wouldn't say that it's as good as the Vindicator Beam. But then again, it has more uses than just causing damage. It's meant to be a jack of all trades, so it does lose some specialty. Some of its, I mean, if I thought about it like this, if it was meant to be a hull damaging weapon, I probably would have like made it 3 missiles and made each missile do 2 damage or something. If it was just purely meant to be offensive in nature, but meant to have some utility.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on how you want to use it. But you probably are going to think at some point, man, I wish this thing would do more in such an X situation. But oh well.
I mean, I enjoyed the Chaos Cluster Bombs. This is pretty much the same thing, only in missile form. You get the benefit of doing hull damage, but the downside that it can be shot down, so what's
More or
not to
less.
like? And it's 1 extra missile. The Chaos Cluster Bomb was only 3, I believe.
Yes, one thing people might note, though, and I'm sure you've mentioned this before, is the Captain's Edition, because, someone decided having 3 rooms on a ship was a great idea, instead of just the usual 5 minimum. Essentially, if you try using this artillery on one of those satellites that has 3 rooms, the game will crash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure why. I mean,
Because
surely the artillery could hit the
yeah,
same
but
twice, but
yeah, it doesn't work that way. Artillery needs to hit only if an artillery weapon can only hit each room once per volley. That's the way it is.
oh well.
Nice one. That's going decently. I mean, we haven't gotten any other weapons, but we haven't needed them either. The artillery and the whole Pierce Laser 2 are doing a very good job of things.
Yeah. They've got. I mean, you get some pretty good firepower, and it pretty much is an equalizer to the other destroyers. I mean, Reaper and this ship are basically, go more towards gun strategies. The other two are all about the teleporter, so it pretty much equals out.
Another final
Similar to
moment where you
yeah.
question the enemy's intelligence. Shields are on fire. Piloting is destroyed. They got 1 hull left. 1 hull point left. Let's escape into an asteroid field. Idiots.
Indeed.
Anyway, you were saying.
Yes, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the frigates were also meant to be equalizers to the bombers, because essentially they are the same class of ship. But then, let's see, yeah, all 3 frigates do not have teleporters. They are based more on the use of drones, and they have guns, whereas the bombers are, well, I actually am going to post an update of the bomber at some point. But the bombers are more about boarding tactics, and each of them is equipped with a bomb, or the new versions are at least. The old ones don't. The only one that has a bomb is Portion. But let's just go with the new one. Because the new one, each one has a bomb. Each has a unique bomb. Like Deimos finally gets a breach bomb, and everybody praises it so much. It's so beautiful. And then Catalyst, which is the new Asphyxia, gets a triple fire bomb that can do 1 system damage each. And Cortion has its beautiful taser bomb. Fine work of engineering. And each one, actually, now that I think about it, Catalyst doesn't even actually have a teleporter. It actually has mind control. So maybe the odds are a bit more skewed in favor of gun tactics than I thought, but whatever. I mean, as long as there's a balance and there's not too much of anything, everybody's happy.
Yeah. Well, another thing I thought that would go smooth and ends up being a drag.
Because they have to. No, they took out the weapons again. You need better security, my friend.
Well, now we're done. That's it's going surprisingly well. I really think the artillery is up there with the good ones. There's a lot
Yeah.
of artillery in cap position that I'm really not fond of.
Which one in particular?
The neural stunner I'm not a fan of. The one from the crystals I'm not a big fan of. I got my doubts with one from the Federation ship, so basically the Kestrel one. Um, basically everything that isn't guaranteed to do something. And a neural stunner just seems. I mean, late game you probably won't be bothered to try and kill crew anymore, so.
Depends. I don't know. I mean, even if the artillery isn't guaranteed to do something, it still has a use. I mean, the thing is, the when I was using that 1NG ship that has a combat drone Mark
Crap.
II as its artillery. What?
Remember what we said about that one satellite with only 3 rooms and you shouldn't let the artillery fire?
Uh,
Yeah.
so cry.
I let the artillery fire. Well, I'm looking at the time, I'm looking at the clock. I think I'm just gonna cut this one here. Ugh, getting the stream up
That's
online
fair.
and everything. So yes, thank you
Thanks,
guys. So I'm gonna cut here. So yes, thank you guys for watching. Hope you're still enjoying the series of free shows, probably commenting, liking, and or subbing. Thank you, Federation Scum, for once again being here.
No problem.
And we'll be seeing you guys on the next mod showcase, whatever it may be. Bye, everyone.
See you.